right, well, Julian has this conspiracy hole he wants to fall down today.
I'm with him.
I didn't bring my tinfoil hat. Do I need it?
As long as it's upside down.
Rory and I have plenty to carry us through.
And Ross has responded now, so.
I don't believe Ross.
Okay, well, what's
also,
the
how would
conspiracy?
Ross know?
That's boom. I said that to Yomi.
You didn't have
too.
to boom that. It wasn't really like a.
No, it is.
I didn't drop a bomb.
These are contracts and negotiations you would know nothing about. These don't pertain to you. I own your shit.
I own you.
I own you. Shut up.
He clearly would give a cut to Gamma UMG. He wouldn't know what they did with that cut afterwards. So start. I'll let you lead with these tweets. You're a better reader than I am.
Yeah. So I've been bedridden for the last 48 hours. So I really dove into this conspiracy and
very reliable source, right? This guy on Twitter.
Well, it's a cumulative. This is a nice thread where he takes information he pulls from all over internet, the lyrics, the people involved, et cetera, et cetera.
This guy did a really good job.
Yeah, basically what we're looking at is Larry Jackson, who is the man over at Apple Music, and Drake, who was given $400 million from UMG, which Rory and I were very adamant about, saying that's not enough money, liquid. You can't value Drake at a check you can cut him. You have to give him kickback on the back end to really continue to pad his pockets and meet him at the level of value that he actually is worth. So with that being said, Larry forms this company called Gamma. And the rumor is Drake is like the Lucian to this Gamma operation. And a lot of the Gamma artists, most of which were included in this beef, Rick Ross, Nav, The Weeknd, Metro, Kendrick, ASAP, and Future are all subsidiaries under Gamma, as well as a bunch of other artists. Sexy Red is also in there, which people are speculating that's why Drake's been championing her so much. And then there's other things. You've seen support from Drake where he usually doesn't support artists. On September 29th, when Rick Ross and Maybach Music announced their partnership with Gamma, Drake then, less than a month or two later, posted the album with him and Meek on his story. So then you're kind of like putting the pieces together on that end. But
this was false out of this guy's theory. I thought he did a great job, but Drake posts people's music
all the time
on IG story.
Fair.
But
the things that looked interesting to me, which is stuff that I've been paying most attention to, I think Drake reveals a lot via his lyrics. And this is what I was drawn to the most. Most recently on Champagne Poetry, recently he said, the 20% of you that we own is my Tootsie's money. Ownership. Other artists. Somebody get Larry Jackson on the phone. I need ownership if we press and go because business is booming on behalf of me. I need a bite out of the apple like Adam and Eve.
Well, that was referencing when Larry was still with Apple and not Gamma UMG.
But they could have been in the process of
fair.
And then there's a couple more. Man, if your pub is up for sale, I'd buy the whole thing. I think that's just yeah. I mean When who's the CEO at Universal? They mistaken because Google says Lucian. But that just doesn't make sense. Who filling up the piggy bank? Who bringing home the bacon?
Again, I think that's just more
braggadocious lyrics.
Yeah.
It's bravado talk, but I think there's a lot of weight to Drake's involvement that isn't communicated or wasn't publicized when he got that, they call it the LeBron size check from Universal. So I know Rory is willing to put the hat on for this. Maul, I'm more curious as to what you think. Do you think Drake's collecting on the back end? And I don't think it's as like obvious as them saying, hey,
of course he's collecting on the back end, but for people to try to sit there and make it seem like he owns a piece of each artist, it's like, okay, are these artists signed to a company that owes Drake money? Yes. Does that mean that he's getting a percentage of all of these artists? If you want to paint it that way, wherever this company gets the music from, yes, they are paying Drake on the back end. We know that. Now, if you want to say, oh, then that means that he's getting money from this artist that's signed there and that artist, that's how you want to slice it, cool. I don't know what other business dealings these people have and where else they're getting money from. But I think to paint it like Drake is getting a percentage of each one of these artists, I mean,
you could paint it that way if we were going in some form of a rap battle.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and maybe that's something, let's say this is true. Maybe that is something Drake is holding for the next.
It could be true.
The next diss and didn't want to put it in the first one. Because if this was true, Drake is telling us. If all these people are shooting at him, Drake is letting the world know in a very witty way that I own you guys as artists. Now, where I don't even think it's a tinfoil hat conspiracy, when he got out of his Cash Money deal and re-signed with UMG Direct, I don't think we value Drake in the streaming era at $400 million. I think it's drastically higher. And the leverage in which UMG has with a Spotify, with Apple Music, how they got 25% of Spotify is based off their leverage. Mm-hmm. So Drake valued at $400 million is nothing. Mm-hmm. I believe that they would have to give him some form of just UMG, Universal Music. I could see them doing some shit and giving him just the urban side of UMG and a point on that. Mm-hmm. I could see that. But then again, also, what is that value really to Drake? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and shit on Rick Ross and Meek. I really enjoyed that album. I don't think it was profitable. Mm-hmm. If we're just going off that certain list, in the streaming era, The Weeknd would be for sure profitable.
Right.
Nav does good numbers, but we're talking about UMG. Mm-hmm. We saw during that back and forth TikTok debacle that they said, go fuck yourself, TikTok, because UMG is 0.001% of their profit. Mm-hmm. So is that even that value to Drake? Having a back end on some of these artists, or more of a cut of his music? Because to me, that's the whole shit. Like, right. All right, I'll sign to you guys, Liquid, $400 million. What's the split look like with my music?
Right.
Because I'm the one that's at the end of everyone's Spotify wrap up. I'm the reason they're sitting on these DSPs for 2 hours. My retention rate is way longer than any other artist on the planet, sans Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. I don't know about him owning publishing and shit from other artists is really that crazy.
Other Gamma artists include Snoop, we mentioned Rick Ross, Usher, Sexy Red, French Montana, and D Smoke. I agree with you, Maul. I don't think it's like, okay, Rick Ross put out an album, here's the check you got from Ross's album. I just think the salacious headline of this is, oh, Drake's collecting money from artists that he doesn't even work with, doesn't even fuck with, et cetera, et cetera. But
that's the salacious. The real thing is Drake is getting paid on the back end from this company.
Exactly.
This company just happens to have these artists signed as well.
I agree.
And to be on the side of the conspiracy, though, had Drake went independent, it would have crumbled a lot of what's going on with the majors and their deals with DSPs. Like, they had to keep Drake happy. And I don't think $400 million is doing it. There's no way Drake did not go independent because they gave him $400 million.
No.
There's something happening with UMG and Drake, but I think it's more on the side of the splits of his music.
Yeah.
I don't.
That makes more sense.
Of him having a cut into Sexy Red, and I promise this isn't Sexy Red hate. She's very profitable on who she is as a person. So unless they have her in a full 360 deal and really own her IP as a human, mm-hmm. her streaming numbers aren't really going to bring in much profit. Mm-hmm. She's profitable.
Right.
So I don't know, like, does Drake have stake in that or just in her streaming numbers? Because that's not going to bring back as much as we think it is.
I think that the clear thing, that the safe thing to assume here is that he has money coming from this company on the back end. Mm. How they get it, where they get it from, how they divvy it up. You could speculate that, but $400 million is not enough for an artist of Drake's caliber. He means way too much to the music industry.
He bets that on steak last night.
Yeah. Like, that's not gonna do it for him. But I understand.
Bet that on the WNBA draft top 10.
No.